Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Planning Commission to order. It is 6:05 p.m. on December 11th. If I could please have roll call.
Commissioner Rodriguez Ceja,
Present.
Commissioner Isiano, Commissioner Fajardo,
Present.
Vice Chairperson Lopez,
Present.
Chairperson Franz.
Present.
For the record, Commissioner Isiano is absent today.
Thank you so much. Christian, can you please lead us in the pledge? Thank you. Thank you. At this time, we'll go ahead and open the public comment time for items not on the agenda. Do we have any?
There are no public comments.
Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public comment. Thank you very much. And we'll move on to item number 4.1, the minutes of the October 23rd, 2024 meeting. Do I have a motion or are there any corrections?
I'll motion to approve the minutes.
And I'll second.
Okay, if we could please have roll call.
Commissioner Rodriguez Ceja,
Yes.
Commissioner Fajardo,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Lopez,
Yes.
Chairperson Franz.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll go ahead and open up public hearing items, 5.1. If we could please have staff report. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Nico Huitron, and I am the Assistant Planner for the Community Development Department. Today I'll be presenting the planning review application for the Premium Packing Project, case file number plan PRD 240013. Catherine Avila of Avila Construction submitted a Premium Packing application project application on behalf of the property owner, Rodney Alderetti. The proposal includes the development of a 6,000 square foot heavy industrial building and outdoor storage yard, perimeter block walls, and site improvements. The site covers 3 parcels totaling approximately 1.5 acres located at the southwest corner of Enterprise Way and Van Buren Street. The site is zoned heavy industrial and has a general plan designation of Workplace Employment District, both of which support the intended use. The project is situated south of Enterprise Way and west of Van Buren Street. Adjacent uses include an RV storage to the north, the existing premium packing facility to the south, the Valley Sanitary District to the east, and a vacant lot to the west. The location aligns with the city's vision for industrial and employment-driven development in this district. The site plan outlines the layout, which includes a 6,000 square foot industrial building, outdoor storage areas, and parking. The project integrates access points from both Enterprise Way and Van Buren Street. Perimeter block walls are planned to provide buffering, while landscaping is incorporated to meet the city's requirements. The design ensures operational efficiency and compatibility with the surrounding uses. As you can see, the building elevations here are from the north and the south. The highest point is 29.6 feet. Which is under the maximum of 55 feet. And then here are the elevations from the west and the east as well. And then here's the landscape plan. The project is compliant with the City of Indio General Plan 2040. The project is compliant with the City of Indio Unified Development Code. The project is categorically exempt under the California Quality Environment Act. California Environmental Quality Act, excuse me. With application of relevant conditions of approval, the project can be approved, and the conditions of approval are binding and must be adhered to. With that, staff recommends to approve Resolution 2100, conditionally approving case file number Plan PRD 240013 for the Premium Packing Project. Thank you for your time. I'm available for any questions, and the applicant is also available for any questions, and they have a presentation as well.
Thank you, Nico. Are there any questions of staff at this time? Nope. We'll go ahead and open up the public hearing and hear from the applicant. Thank you.
Good evening, Chairperson and Commissioners. Thank you, and very nice to meet you. My name's Catherine Avila. I'm with Avila Construction, and I'll be presenting on behalf of the applicant team this evening. So if you would progress to the next slide, please. Do I have a controller? Oh, look at that. Great. So I'm joined here today by my colleagues Jeff and Mike, as well as the owner of the project, Ronnie Alderetti, here in the black jacket. And we do have our architect and our civil engineer, Paul and Armando, on the phone. Should you have any technical questions for them, they're available to answer as well. So a little bit about Premier Packing. It's been operated for about 70 years in the California area, including here in Indio. And Premium Packaging manages harvest crews of many different types of crops here in the local area. And this facility, as our planner said, is located next door to the existing office building. And I won't belabor this. Nico already provided you a site plan as well as some exterior elevations. I will add that we did try to coordinate the exteriors of this building with the existing office building next door. That's what's pictured here on the left. And I'll touch a little bit on landscaping just to soften the appearance of the project a little bit and give you some examples of the plants and trees that would be used here. These are not all of them, but a few examples that will really add to that public right-of-way as well as the interior of the project. And on the more technical side, we do have a few edits that we're requesting to the conditions of approval. We have talked with staff members as much as we can about these and hope to gain their support. In terms of power-related conditions of approval, there were quite a few that came from IID, and they're listed as conditions of approval, but we really believe that those were meant as preliminary comments. They have actually not received a final application from us. They have not reviewed our loads, but they're giving some really specific feedback, which is great as we head towards final application, but we feel it's very premature to list those here as conditions. As Nico mentioned, conditions are binding, and we'll be held to those through the course of the project, and we believe based on a final application, those parameters may change, and we don't want to be in a circumstance where we need to come back to you all to have conditions altered later because they were too specific at this moment. On the public works front, we have a number of clarifications we like. We did talk with the city engineer about these today, and I believe he's here. I've never met him, so I don't know what he looks like, but hopefully he's around and he can agree here. But in section 3, items 3 through 9, we would just like to clarify that the improvements are limited to the project frontage and not the entirety of Van Buren Street or Enterprise Way. And then edit number 5 specifically to clarify that grind and overlay on the Enterprise Way frontage is required only if we're disturbing that street. At this time, we do not plan to. So in collaboration with the city engineer, we think it's reasonable to say unless we disturb or damage that in some way through the course of construction, that be left off. And then deleting section 3, item 12, streetlights exist already. And the other category is really just some cleanup. There was a condition referenced to a church, and we believe that was probably just a copy-paste error. And items 12 and 41 appear redundant, so in an effort to clean up, again, requesting one of those two be removed. So that's all. Thank you for your time, and like I said, we're here for questions. Happy to answer anything for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions of the applicant at this time?
I do. Yeah, I'm curious about how this will enhance operations for what's already existing there, and because the land use is to enhance workforce development, I'm curious about what that's going to do for your current business.
Sure. I think Ronnie would be best positioned to answer that himself, so I'll invite him up here.
Good evening. Yeah, so we currently have our...
Can you state your name, please?
My name is Ronnie Alderete. I'm the owner of Premier Packing, Premium Packing. So we have our administrative offices right next door to these lots. What we want to do is be able to bring our equipment, our buses, our vans, and be able to maintain them and park them right next to the building. So we're logistically all in one place instead of having... We rent in Coachella, Mecca, different areas, but we want to have everything centralized there. So that it would just be convenient to have mechanics and everything under one location.
Thank you. Any other questions at this time? No? Okay. If we could have staff come up to address the items that the applicant addressed, we want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Could we get is it fine? Okay.
Good evening, Chairperson, Commissioners. Juan Reyes, City Engineer. I did speak with the applicant before the meeting. Generally concur with their request, defining the limits of the improvements being required to just the project frontage. I'm receptive to that. The Grind Overlay, the conditions currently read that Van Buren Street and Enterprise Way shall receive a Grind Overlay. I'm receptive to focusing on Van Buren Street and including wording that if they damage or if the condition of Enterprise Way is worse than it is today after construction, that they would be required to grind an overlay as well. And then regarding the street lights, the poles are standing, but there's no, IID infrastructure is not to those lights. So we recommend that we keep those street lights until those are energized and to city standards and accepted by the city.
Okay, so just to make sure I understood, you're good with section 3 and specifically item number 5 to be worded the way it is here, but item number 12 you want to keep as is.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
Actually, no, maybe this is a question. So item 14, this is not for the, for you, but the item 14 regarding the landscape plan, do we need to, it's a typo definitely, but do we need to include something that talks about them submitting a landscape plan?
So there is something now that has, for a landscape plan for item 14, the previous, it was updated by staff. So the item 14 has now been updated to reflect landscaping and to remove the church comment.
Condition number 14, general conditions, reads, a landscape application and associated fee shall be submitted to the Community Development Department for review and final approval.
And,
16 through 30.
well, also what about deleting 12 and 41? Is one of those going to go away?
So, general condition of approval number 12 reads, the applicant shall provide a lighting plan to the Community Development Department, Planning Division, and the Police Department for review and approval. Any outdoor lighting shall be hooded or shielded to prevent spillage of lumens or reflections into the sky pursuant to the Indio Unified Development Code. So that states where the lighting plan needs to be submitted to. Sorry, give me a second. Now, listed there as condition of approval 41, what's now listed in here as condition 40, states all exterior lighting shall be oriented, directed, and or shielded as much as possible so that direct illumination does not infringe onto adjoining properties. Staff does not feel as if that's redundant, which is why we kept it in there. One states where the plan should be submitted to, and one states how the lighting should be oriented.
Okay, that makes sense. And then, of course, the IID. I mean, I understand that. I have my concern is how do we approve this without having the IID already have what they're requiring? I mean, because it sounds like the applicant doesn't want to be tied to what we're asking for, but yet we have to. Usually, we have something in there about IID. So how do we handle that, or can we handle that?
So at this point, it's my understanding, and staff could correct me if I'm wrong, that these are conditions that are generally, that have been submitted with this application from IID, correct? So these are actually IID conditions that have been submitted and as through the routing process.
So if IID were to change their, sorry, I know it's hard to see the Christmas, and I'm not very tall. So if IID were to come back and change the requests directly to the applicant, what does that do to our binding, what we have binding already, if we approve this the way it is now?
So I don't know if IID would change or not. It seems like these are kind of standard conditions of approval. I don't know if all of them are standard conditions, but if something were to change drastically, arguably the item would have to come back before you because all of a sudden your conditions of approval are being changed by an outside department, which would be different than what you have already approved. But that said, we don't know that. We don't know if IID will be changing them or not. Okay. But I do know, and staff could correct me if I'm wrong, that this was in fact routed to IID, and this is what came back. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so, I mean, it's kind of hard to approve something when it sounds like the applicant and staff is not on the same page as to what's being required by IID. So I'd like to give the applicant an opportunity to maybe address it a little bit more.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Norm with Avila Construction. I'm a senior project manager. Again, we want to reiterate the plans that were submitted were very preliminary. There has not been a formal application that's submitted to IDD. So there's not been any engineering done, have not been load calcs done. We've further done some site investigation, and it is actually very probable that we can just connect to the existing service that's in the owner's existing building and just extend power from that service to this site and not even involved IDD to have additional power brought to the site. So there's a lot of things that are still very, very preliminary. We're still in the early stages. And again, that's more reason why we're concerned about having these very specific conditions that we feel are to the project. If they were just general conditions saying, you need to coordinate with IDD if you need power and whatever comes out of that engineering, that's what we would be responsible for. We understand that, but the way the conditions are written, they're very specific about saying, this is what you are going to be responsible for. And again, the project has not been designed, it's not been engineered, so we see that it is going to evolve, it's going to change, and these conditions very well may not even apply to the project once we get through that final engineering.
Just for the record, I'd like to read condition of approval, general condition of approval number 16 from IID into the record. It states, it is important to note that a final study will be developed once a customer project application and approved plans and loading calculations are received. This detailed information will allow IID to perform an accurate assessment and provide a full report of any potential impacts and mitigation measures as well as costs. The conditions of service could change as a result of the studies.
Okay, so based on that, I'm hearing that if IID comes back with something different, then you are bound by IID.
The changes that IID makes once that additional information is provided to them. So these conditions of approval may be subject to change dependent upon the final study that will be developed once the applicant submits that to IID.
Okay, so do you feel comfortable with that statement?
Yeah, with that statement, and as long as that's in the record, we would.
It's currently in the conditions of approval number 16 is the one that states that.
I have a follow-up question, if I may. Okay, so just so that we're clear too, Kendra, just so that I can understand this correctly, so should IID present those changes required to the extent that it requires the applicant to come in front of this body once again, what would be the likelihood of that happening at all, if need be?
Based on the conditions that they provided, it would not require them to come back before the Planning Commission for additional review and approval.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, does that make the applicant comfortable?
I guess if I can just ask one more question.
Okay.
So again, if it does end up being where we do not need any additional power from IDD, would we just need to get a letter stating from them that at that point there's no work to be done with them, so they would essentially just go away from the project?
Anything related to IID, you would have to work out with them directly. These are the conditions of approval that we have. They'll provide you additional details once you submit to them and complete that final study. Anything regarding issues pertaining to them would be handled directly with them.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're good? Okay, thank you. Do we have anyone else wanting to speak on this item?
We have no more in-person or online comments, and all written comments have been sent to the commission and posted on our website.
Okay, are we good with closing the public hearing and we can talk to staff? Okay, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Do we have any other questions of staff at this time or questions about the project, or do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to, well, now it's complicated. Do I need to say all the changes we're accepting?
So, I think we should probably, just for the record, double check. Can you, somebody go ahead and pull up that, slide again? Yeah. So, Juan, which ones were you okay with again? Okay, we're gonna tell you right now with respect to, which one, engineering's. With respect to deletion of section A, item 16 through 30, depending on what the, planning commission desires, I will guess right now and say that those will be staying. Is that correct, Mr. Motion Maker?
Yes.
You were, okay?
Yeah.
And then, with respect to item, what is it, 12 and 41, which regarding the lighting, the staff was of the opinion that those are two separate, issues. I don't know if that's part of the Motion Maker's,
Yes.
motion.
Yes.
Those will stay. And then with respect to the engineering, conditions of approval, Juan, would you mind, oh, he's writing it up real quick. So.
For that one?
Does he want me to, okay. Do you want to write it? You want to do it into?
The city engineer has agreed to modify prior to issuance of certificate of occupancy, condition of approval number 3. The new condition will state applicant shall construct off-site street improvements on the following streets: Van Buren Street, 1/2 street improvements west side, Enterprise Way, 1/2 street improvements south side along the property frontages. The city engineer has also agreed to modify prior to issuance of certificate of occupancy, condition of approval number 5, to read as existing pavement along the south side of Enterprise Way and west side of Van Buren Street shall be ground to the minimum depth of 2 inches, and new pavement shall be placed from center line to curb gutter if deemed necessary.
With those conditions, I move to make a motion to approve resolution number 2100.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we can please have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Rodriguez Ceja,
Yes.
Commissioner Fajardo,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Lopez,
Yes.
Chairperson Franz,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you. Thank you. Good luck with your project.
So with respect to this next item, Ms. Vice Chair Lopez, we did have a chance to look at the conflicts map. It does not appear that your property is located within 1,000 feet of the next application. So you vote.
Thank you. Okay, if we're ready, we'll go ahead and move on to public hearing item 5.2 regarding a new bed and breakfast project. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. Again, my name is Nicolas Huitron, and I'm an assistant planner with the Community Development Department. Today, I will be presenting the planning review application for Casa del Cava project for a bed and breakfast, case file number Plan PRD 240012. The applicant, Walter Daniels, submitted an application for the Casa del Cava project on behalf of the owner, K.E. Manning. The proposal includes the development of a 32,000 square foot bed and breakfast. The site covers one parcel totaling approximately 3.3 acres, located near the southwest corner of John Nobles Avenue and Arabia Street. The site is currently Zone Connected Neighborhood 20 and has a general plan designation of Connected Neighborhood High, both of which support the intended use. The project is situated just south of John Nobles and west of Arabia Street. The adjacent uses include residential to the north, residential to the south, residential to the east, and residential to the west. The location aligns with the permitted uses within the zone and general plan designation. The site plan outlines the layout, which includes a 32,000 square foot development of a bed and breakfast estate with 8 guest suites and associated amenity spaces, including swimming pools, spas, yoga, studio, fitness room, dining court, parking and open spaces. The site will have access from John Nobles Avenue. Here you can see an isometric view of the property, the building elevations, as well as a landscape plan. The landscape plan has the property is proposing 26.4% of landscape area, and the city standard in this and the Connected Neighborhood 20 zone is 10%. The project is compliant with the City of Indio General Plan 2040. The project is compliant with the Indio Unified Development Code. The project is categorically exempt under the California Environmental Quality Act. With application of relevant conditions of approval, the project can be approved. Conditions of approval are binding and must be adhered to. With that, staff recommends approval of Resolution 2101, recommending the conditional approval for the planning review application, case file number Plan PRD 240012. Thank you for your time. I'm available for any questions, and the applicant is also available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for staff at this time?
So, Nico, you're saying the project is compliant with our municipal code under bed and breakfast. Do we have a definition for bed and breakfast?
The definition for a bed and breakfast.
I will bring it up. Just give me 1 second,
Sure.
please.
Want to read it? Yeah, I was able to find it. A bed and breakfast, a residential structure that is occupied by a resident as his/her primary residence with one or more bedrooms rented for periods of 30 consecutive days or less, and meals may be provided. that's in our unified development code.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. And then I'm also wondering about the zoning designation, particularly on the commercial uses. So could you maybe read to me what it says about the types of uses that are allowed for that zoning designation?
You would like all the permitted uses for those?
No, not all of them. I think just the overall, there's like a summary of what are permissible developments within that development, or, zoning code.
Connected Neighborhood 20. The Connected Neighborhood 20 zone provides a range of intensities and housing choices within a walkable neighborhood setting in a close proximity to goods and services that meet daily needs. Appropriate housing types include single-family attached dwellings of various sizes, courtyard apartments and condos, and medium-sized multifamily buildings designed to promote neighborhood compatibility with densities of up to 20 dwelling units per acre. Small-scale non-residential uses may be incorporated in the form of live work units and corner shops, primarily along mixed-use corridors or at the edges of centers. This zone implements the Connected Neighborhood General Plan land use designation.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
A question, with the bed and breakfast, would this be the first one, if approved, do we have any other examples of a bed and breakfast in our city?
I don't believe we have any other bed and breakfasts in the city currently.
So as far as the bed and breakfast is concerned, would they be, as far as permitting and paying, would they be paying into TOT, or would this be under like vacation rental?
So it'd probably be a question that we would have to ask our finance department to get more clarification on that, and something we could probably follow up with you all.
This is just a guess, frankly, on the record. I probably shouldn't do this, but since it's 30 days or fewer, it's likely that they would have to pay TOT, but again, we would probably need to defer to finance.
And that's all I have right now.
Okay, if there are no questions of staff at this time, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing and invite the applicant up. Thank you.
K. Imani, M-A-A-N-I, Casa del Cava, distinguished members of the Planning Commission. We present to you today a proposed hospitality development located to the south of Highway 111 in Midtown Indio. Casa del Cava, the subject project, is a wellness and sustainability themed bed and breakfast estate featuring 8 bespoke guest suites, each in 3 and 4 bedroom configurations, as well as a dining court and an amenities pavilion. In short, the fully staffed Casa del Cava goes a step further above and beyond the short-term rental with our own full-service offerings, yet maintains the warmth of that second vacation home property. With 33,000 square feet built-up area, the predominantly single-story Mediterranean estate, which does occasionally go vertical with a second crowning floor, will be constructed on a 3.3-acre vacant lot. It is a quadrangle with a one-way drive loop, forming a perimeter setback between the structure and the boundary wall, while featuring a shallow natural pond complete with a vibrant waterfall and softscapes at the estate's center court. This $10 million beacon of American engineering has best-in-class thermal envelope with desert finishes, a self-sufficient energy system, superior water treatment and indoor air quality technologies, low and no VOC building materials, as well as reuse capabilities, including gray water reclamation to be used for irrigation purposes, plus food waste recycling, all in line with our institutional mandate. With your blessing, this by-right development will be a fast and quiet 6-month build. It is consistent with the soul of Indio and its thirst for hospitality projects, will bring a luxury product to the residents of the city of Indio to be proud of, and serve a year-round Serenity destination to entice tourists from Southern California and the Pacific Northwest. We would like to take this opportunity to thank Commissioner Franz and Commissioner Lopez for their service. I don't know if you intend to extend or not, but we got it somehow here. They have our best wishes, and we look forward to hosting them at the Casa soon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And we have better animation and imagery and some videos if you would like to see some more color to it.
Sure.
I have some questions for the applicant.
Do you have any questions, sir?
Yes,
sir?
actually. Yes, thank you.
To step back, yeah.
I'm wondering if you could maybe walk us through your business model. That you were saying this is a bed and breakfast, but it seems like it's a pretty large compound, maybe mini suites, as opposed to what I think of as a business model for a bed and breakfast, maybe one erect building with, different rooms. So if you could just walk us through your business model, if this is something that you've done somewhere else, we'd love to hear more about it particularly. And then, just as a follow-up, I'm also curious about the reasoning behind the perimeter wall.
Sure.
In that, this is a mostly residential area, and it is connected neighborhood. So I'm really interested to hear from you the reason.
Indio generally is, I believe, there is clearly a demand for a higher level product out there. Airbnb is just, reached a plateau of a certain kind where it's unable to. At the same time, a city hotel is not a solution. You can go to other cities for that sort of thing. This sort of niche where we are able to combine, family-owned Mediterranean-themed warm hospitality with the villa experience, and bring it all together. This is where we come in. So that's really the business component of it. Now, it is a bed and breakfast. I mean, we are Mediterranean people, so naturally we like to feed people, and breakfast is a must. So that is, part of the how we got here, and it is actually a complementary product. We do have a dining court. If guests rent out the entire estate. We will be targeting some corporates as well. I think there's a lot of corporations that need that kind of thing. Las Vegas is not the solution for them when you need, a certain level of privacy and security at, at that level of executive. In that, so we have somebody working on the corporate front. Looking at the past 2 days, and the city engineer here has stripped the gates from us, and that's fine. It kind of grew on me without them. I never liked the idea of gates and walls. I mean, the whole, you have to go back to the history in the executive retreats and the convention centers, all the way to the walls and the gates, and why, it has so happened to be. We don't like it, but it is necessary. Unfortunately, we have, obviously put certain amount of technology and will put manpower to protect our property. Obviously, we're vulnerable. So, for reasons stated, I think I hope I captured, to the extent possible, your weddings also. I mean, if you book the entire estate, you can enjoy the thing. I mean, that's a big industry. Again, there's no. If you want something different than the usual thing that you would see in the 5-star hotel. And, there's a lot of people. Actually, it's the largest segment. 3 and 4 bedroom is the largest segment, by the way. That's where our numbers came in at 3 and 4 bedroom after we found out, actually. And same with the weddings. It's 75 to 150, I believe. So we can do 209, I believe is the exact number. We do not have a lobby like a hotel does, or, registration. You just, we check people in at the villa and obviously, work the gate scenario so that we are able to securely check in people and make sure that we have, identification and so on and so forth in what will be a high secure environment.
We're gonna have a couple follow-ups. It sounds like a large sort of commercial endeavor. I'm wondering, the definition here, it says you intend to live. This is your residence, your permanent residence. You will live there
I currently live in India, right opposite the property, yes.
Okay.
We believe we got a complaint, and I fully agree with the lady who sent the complaint today about walls and things like that. And yeah, I mean, the city needs, residential, and this so happens to be a different kind of property. We certainly hope that with the vacant lots that are available on John Nobles, that there is, sufficient accommodation to lower the 2,000, I believe, average that, hurts the competitiveness of the city, right? I mean, and increases the cost for somebody like me who wants to build it. But I do have, yes, a suite in the pavilion building for myself, yes.
Yeah, I appreciate the thought. And I guess the last question I have is, how does this business model and this type of development serve the larger community without, thinking just about those sort of financial benefits that you were just specifically to the residents around the area? What are those overlapping benefits that will come directly to that community?
Well, I mean, we were eyeing several properties, and along the way, I mean, last year, a lot of people would ask, like, why do you care about your neighbors so much? I'm like, because that's the way we were brought up. We do care about our neighbors. So we were asked the other question, the same question from a different, standpoint. And I find myself here being asked that question again. I guess engagement generally is a plus. So if we're, cooking for a corporate retreat of, 60 people or whatever our capacity is, 50 some people, that, yeah, I mean, we would cook a little bit more and spread the love, so to speak, with our neighbors as we get to meet them. Figure things around certain holidays, Easter, Thanksgiving, etc., that we would open up our property to our neighbors specifically to enjoy the grounds, host events, get some entertainers, all for for free. We have a substantial amount of allocation that we have allotted from profits for such engagement, but also to advance certain things that we believe in stashing, for example, your new library with books that we like about circular economy, for example, and other things. So that's what comes to mind, at least as of now. But we very much look forward to them. We are the neighbor as of now already, and we are expanding, obviously, our presence in the area. As for the city of Indio, generally, weekdays, I can imagine us, and this is part of the, generally the strategy here, is that we would offer promo codes. If you have, an ID that says you're a resident of the city of Indio, you can book the suites at a substantially reduced rate. I mean, it's lost income for us anyways. Might as well engage, and we would not, we would not make a distinction between this or that, or who's paying what rate, and this corporate illnesses that we see, we just don't subscribe to ourselves. Why? Because people get a right to swim and teach their kids how to swim in a safe environment, and good pools and things like that in the city of India, and perhaps a bit La Quinta as well. So amongst many other things that, of engagement, whether with direct neighbors or generally the city overall. So we generally do think that we are as strong as our engagement with the city and its residents is. So that is a core fundamental that we believe in.
Great. So just for clarification, so the big commercial endeavor that you're setting forward, you're thinking about doing these types of programs that would then be integrated, but that's not the driving commercial use. Really, this is for visitors coming in and experiencing the hospitality, all of that, but at a much larger scale.
Which part of it? We're talking about.
Well, I'm saying the direct The
bus-
direct
business-
commercial service to the immediate community. You're saying these are programs that you're willing to entertain, but that is not its intended audience, right?
No,
It's
no.
right. Okay.
No, no,
Thank you.
this is, yeah, absolutely, no. I mean, we are in the real estate business, yeah, absolutely, in the 30-day minus, or less than 30-day, business, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And I sent you the link if you want to share some colorful things.
Hold on, sir. Any other questions?
I had a couple of questions, sir. Sorry about that. Just to be brief, just thank you very much for the opportunity to submit this application. So in your business, and I appreciate your outlining of the business model, so just so that way I'm aware of it and for the sake of some of the folks that I've spoken with, what are your traditional sort of rates that you're looking at with regard to
Rates?
your short-term rentals? How does that benefit, more importantly, opportunities, like you mentioned, existing city folks? And I'm sure you're aware of the big housing crunch in our
Yes.
community. And so for this piece of parcel, 32,000 square feet, right, for us to sort of entertain that as a prospect for quote-unquote executives who are coming in who need a place to stay, to use your words, I just wanted to get more of an opportunity to discuss with you what do you foresee as an opportunity as how that would provide a solution to our attainable housing situation here in the city of Indio.
Well, I mean, this is not that kind of project, quite frankly. I mean, this is a hospitality project. We charge per night. If you book the whole thing, then we can do a little bit more and, entertain your guests for whatever reason that be. And that is, again, not the usual scenario. The usual scenario is you'd have staycationers and folks from Southern California and repeat client, which is what we are in a big way sort of feel strongly about, at least.
Real quick, so assuming I'm a staycationer, what'll be my cost if I want to stay for a weekend?
Well, a weekend is going to be a bit more expensive. I would say we're generally keeping it under 2,000 for the weekend, 3 nights, and that does include you ordering things, food and beverage and all that. During the week, I would say it's about less than half of that for,
Thank you.
About 2,000 some square feet, private pool, private spa, and all that. So it's quite.
So comparable to current existing market
We're cheaper.
rates?
We're
Okay.
cheaper than any short-term rental. The problem with short-term rentals is to get an elevated experience, you have to start booking in the 6, 7, 8, 9 bedroom sort of range. You don't get it with the 3 and and 4. You start getting maybe an experience that doesn't work as well. Perhaps an outdated pool or a barbecue that doesn't work. Yeah, with us everything works.
Understood.
And everything's tip-top shape. So.
And then finally, what do you foresee as potential employee prospects with regard to this project, from construction all the way to obviously, your implementation of your team that's going to, and from the sounds of it, it says you're going to be an owner resident of the
Yeah.
community, is that correct? So in addition to
Well,
yourself.
I travel a lot, sir, but
Yeah,
I
in-
mean,
in
it's
addition-
definitely one of my homes.
That's great. In addition to yourself, what can we foresee as potential employment opportunities out of your project?
The construction is hard to say, but I can see north of 50 going at any single moment. Again, there's safety considerations and things like that out of experience and limiting how much we would have at a moment's time. But we are trying to go local as much as we can. There are some advanced systems here, like the use of steel, for example, and things like that. We just these are specialist factories that do these things, and so on and so forth, or gas turbines, and that we have that are there's only one factory in America that does them. So besides that, we generally do go local with our consultants as well. For the full time, The initial is 8, so, and that's what we're renting out, all these units from our neighbor who we have a good relationship with at Mountain View across the street. So we intend to keep doing that. We hope that the city manager or engineer takes care of those cars that are always parked on our, street frontage a little bit. I mean, wrecked cars, but it's okay for now, I guess. And we'll work with the city on clearing that up, but to the extent that, is acceptable. So,
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
thank you, sir.
Can I just have one quick question?
Sure, ma'am.
Have you done this before? Like this style of a bed and breakfast, or have you
Well, this one's close to the
experienced
chest.
it somewhere where it like caught your attention?
Chairperson, this one's close to the chest. It's really a combination of a lot of, business travel and other, generally not a vacation guy. But along the way, you bump into some nice places and this and that. No, I have not seen, we've been asked this question. People don't believe it, like, oh, gee, where'd you see that? No, we haven't seen this anywhere else. I have built larger, Fairmont, St. Regis, Four Seasons, Kempinski, larger 5-star establishments in my life, generally speaking. This one is close to the chest, and it's what we feel is consistent with the theme of the city. This is what we feel, at least. So we hope you agree with us.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for the applicant? No? Thank you, sir. Do we have anyone wishing to speak on this item, either in person or online?
There are no comments for this item.
Okay, then,
I would like to let you know that your presentation has been uploaded, so if you would like to click
Yep,
through the
let's do that.
slides, you can do so with the remote that's up there.
Is this the thing? Okay. So we've seen that. So you have the main villa, which is the, talk about prices, that's where it gets a bit pricey there. But the other ones are pretty much standard. And then you have the pavilion to the south, and then the dining court to the northwest. It's the design, Madam Chairperson, yes, I have seen something similar in residences. It's a Moroccan system that was developed post-war when, they had a housing problem as well. And they needed to get the privacy and sound attenuation and the cooling. And French architects worked on it at the time. So this is everything that you see, the courtyards within a courtyard, within a courtyard, that's all in reference to that form of architecture. And that natural pond in the middle is, it's actually a river. It's 18 inches high, so it's shallow. This is sound attenuation, again, for the same reasons stated. We're happy that the city is doing some vegetation and repave the road, and thank you. We thank the city engineer for that, and so there's progress there, which is, enticing. The entrance is from John Nobles to the north, at the top of the screen. Then the main villa and its annex villa, and then you have eastern guest wings, which are replicas, the pavilion building, generally wellness, the owner's suite, etc., in the south. This is the second floor, so you can see there's not a whole lot of activity on the second floor. It's predominantly single story. This is roof. Yeah, this is the main villa. It's not like a lobby or anything. You actually rent this is the first and second floor of the main villa, which is the flagship offering. The excess capacity parking, plenty, obviously, in the back, and some storage as well. See the dining court there with the motor court, obviously very generous in that regard as well. These are the typical guest wings. quick, efficient, hopefully designed to keep prices under control for our guests. And this is definitely, the affordable luxury component is very, very important in everything that we do. I literally fight like you don't know what to keep prices under control. So, and so far, so we seem to be successful. This is the pavilion building. North and south elevation, isometric. This is the entrance. Again, less the gate. One, don't worry, we removed the gate. No more gates.
Thank you. It's a pretty large project. Thank you very much.
And yeah, it depends on, I guess maybe for India, but yeah. Thank you.
Do you have any other questions for
No, no
applicant? No?
questions.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at this time. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you, staff. I'm sure we've got questions for you. Go ahead, Christian.
Oh, actually, no, I'm ready for deliberation.
Are you? Any more questions of staff?
I just wanted to confirm, so we're not changing any zoning, correct?
Correct. No zoning will be changed. Current zoning, and that will stay as Connected Neighborhood 20, and as well as the general plan designation to Connected Neighborhood High.
Okay. And so this also is a bed and breakfast, which is not a short-term rental, correct? Considered a
As a
short-term rental.
definition, it will not be defined as a short-term rental. No, it's
What would it
defined-
fall under? You would say hotel, motel,
A bed and breakfast.
bed and breakfast, but under our current ordinance and zoning,
It would be bed and breakfast.
bed and breakfast, okay. That's all the questions I have.
No other questions of staff at this time? Okay, go ahead and open up for deliberations or a motion.
So thank you, staff and everyone. I'm having a little bit of a hard time finding the consistency just generally with the general plan and the definition of the zoning code. I'm reading Connected Neighborhoods right now, CN 20, and it's saying small-scale non-residential uses may be incorporated in the form of live-work units and corner shops, primarily along mixed-use corridors. I think what I'm still sort of on the question mark at this moment is the scale of the project, and is it its intended uses with the zoning designation? And I don't know that I'm necessarily finding that right now, and I truly would not feel comfortable making a decision at this moment until we get more information from staff on how this really pertains to this particular development code, and I need some more clarification on the development type, on its intended development code intended uses. What do we mean by the small scale small scale commercial? And so I actually feel that we don't have enough information at this moment to move the resolution forward. So I would recommend for us to move it to a next meeting so that we get an opportunity to get more clarification. The scale of the project just doesn't seem consistent to me with the general plan, but I'm curious to hear from you all.
If I may add to that.
Hold on a second.
I'm sorry.
Was that a motion? No. Not yet?
Not
Okay,
not
I
yet.
just wanted to make sure. Okay, go ahead.
No, and thank you, Commissioner, for your comments. And once again, thank you to the applicant, thank you for staff. So just in speaking with some of the folks there in the community, and certainly one of the comments that we did receive from one of the community members that did submit their comments, it's just, and you mentioned it earlier, sir, when you had mentioned the applicant, that is, that this project, and you said it just now, may be a little bit too big for Indio. And I interpret that as this is sort of almost like a crapshoot of a business model for the city. And sad to say that obviously we do have an affordable or attainable housing crunch in our community. And for something like this to be installed historically in a community where certain things were made to those citizens in the effect of housing opportunities, and as you mentioned, Mr. Nico, it's a work to live opportunity for our folks in this area. I feel compelled to also want additional information from the applicant, who did mention early on that he does have other properties that he investigated with respect to his business model. They could perhaps, maybe, sort of come back to the table with perhaps a different type of model, where we could, perhaps see the opportunity for folks to purchase these units, or perhaps even include a different business model that would provide for residential work to live opportunities for our families. So I'd like to get more information from the applicant in regards to the business model. We did ask if whether or not this was an opportunity that he's done business like before. And it just seems just a little bit out of, the league of our area with respect to this particular type of business model to come in with not enough information. So I concur with Commissioner that I, for one, would like for us to discuss the possibility of tabling it so we can get some more information.
Any comments, Jackie? Okay. I can see the concerns, right, that we all have, the fact that we need housing and all these kinds of things, but every single project that comes before us can't be trying to solve one problem, right? I do believe the city needs a variety of opportunities, whether it's hospitality or living or residential. But at this time, it sounds like, according to the resolution, staff is in agreement that this fits what the city is trying to do, because we have a recommendation to approve. Yet it sounds like two of our commissioners, and there's only 4 of us here tonight, are not convinced that that's necessarily 100% correct, or at least don't have enough information to agree. I don't feel like we could probably do any kind of action where we would all agree. At least it doesn't seem like it at this point. So I'm kind of in agreement that maybe we postpone this to our next period certain meeting and give staff and the commissioners time to get a clearer understanding of how staff came up with their recommendation to approve. I find it interesting. I think it's different. And I really do think that I'm not afraid of different, and businesses take opportunities and take risk every day. So that's not what I'm worried about. I just want to make sure that we can all agree that this does fit into our general plan and the things that the city has worked so hard to try and move forward. So I would like to maybe see if we have an agreement or a motion to move this to our next meeting, and in the meantime, get a little more clarification from staff. Anybody agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to move the item to the next Planning Commission meeting agenda.
Our next Planning Commission meeting will be January 11th at 6 p.m. At 150 Civic Center Mall, City Council Chambers, City of Indio, California, 92201.
Okay, great.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, if we could please have roll call vote.
Commissioner Rodriguez Ceja,
Yes.
Commissioner Fajardo,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Lopez,
Yes.
Chairperson Franz,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. I would like to maybe just encourage all the commissioners to try and get together with staff, or we have to have some kind of information. And I know the holidays are coming, so time is short, and I really don't want to try to push this to another meeting. I want to make sure that we have the information we need by our next meeting. Okay? All right. Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and move on to item number 6, and it looks like there are no action items. Do we have any study session items? It looks like none. Do we have any commissioner comments? Okay.
I got one.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, just wanted to obviously thank everyone and wish everybody a happy holidays. There is a groundbreaking ceremony, I have to plug it in, for the RCOE new building off the Calhoun office. I believe it is tomorrow, correct? At 3 p.m. So just wanted to make sure if you have an opportunity to come on out, we'll be there at Riverside County Office of Education, 3 p.m. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. The only thing I want to say is I want to wish everybody very happy holidays, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, whatever it is that you celebrate. And hopefully looking forward to continuing to do this with all of you in the new year. Okay? If staff has any items?
There are no staff items.
Okay, in that case, we can make a motion to adjourn the meeting until our next meeting, which is actually January 11th, right? Okay, so it's incorrect in the agenda, just as an FYI. Yes, it'll be here. All right, thank you very much, everyone. Have a nice evening.